Duyne represents Texas's 24th congressional district. She's a new member, and we are very glad she's there because she's actually done something in her life. She's been a mayor, and that actually qualifies you to be a member of Congress. You actually know what Congress needs to do. She also worked for HUD for the wonderful Ben Carson. Congresswoman Van Duyne, welcome. It's great to have you on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Hey, good morning. It's great to be here. It's a sunny day in D.C. finally.
Finally, welcome to snow. I know that you were a Texan, but you went to Cornell, so you're used to snow, right?
And my dad was in the Air Force in Minot, North Dakota, so I'm very familiar with snow.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. You know snow. Congresswoman, you are on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee.
Yes.
What do they do? It's one of the more powerful committees, but would you explain? I got Steelers fans listening, so break it down for them. What does that do?
Well, you got me at a disadvantage because our first meeting is going to be this morning. So I haven't actually gone to a transportation committee meeting, infrastructure committee meeting yet. But basically, you handle roads, bridges, highways, rail, aviation, water infrastructure. Kind of like I always call it the meat and potato issues of what actually makes America run, makes it competitive globally, definitely nationally. DFW Airport is in the middle of District 24. It's the number one economic driver in the state. So that it's really a great thing that I'm on the Transportation Committee. I had fought to get there, but I am interested in passing a transportation and infrastructure bill. We've been talking about it for 4 years now, and instead what we've been focused on is impeachment and Russian collusion. And I'm really hoping that at some point we'll be able to move beyond that narrative and actually do something. The reason why we were sent here to begin with.
Now, every 4 years or so, there is a major transportation bill, and it spends a lot of money. And the people on your committee become very important. And this year, with the House so closely divided, that committee's actually got to work closely together if they want to have a prayer of getting a transportation bill through, correct?
Yes. You're absolutely right. And I think there's a lot of things that if we put our minds to it, instead of focused on the political theater, but if we actually start focusing on policy, and less party, behind us, we could get a lot of things done. I mean, the infrastructure issue, I think, needs to be expanded. Looking at what's happened to our country over the last 10 months, I mean, manufacturing has got to be included in that. When we needed PPEs the most, when we needed pharmaceuticals the most, what we found was where those were being produced over in China. And it left us, a little bit of a victim to that regime. So, making sure that we're bringing those jobs back and including that in critical infrastructure and, quite honestly, national security, I think is going to be key.
Now, Congresswoman, you were also a mayor. I have spent a lot of time this morning talking about homelessness because I'm going to a hearing today for a federal district court judge in L.A. LA has 66,000 homeless. I don't know. Did Irving, Texas have any homeless when you were mayor?
You have homeless that you don't really even see. You have a lot of people who are couch warriors who are living from place to place. They don't have permanent housing. In Irving, we were one of the places that folks from Katrina came. After after Hurricane Harvey, people moved up to North Texas. So, we definitely do have, our own fair share. We're in the middle of the fourth largest metroplex in the country.
So I am a believer that infrastructure includes housing for the homeless, but I've always advocated give money to the private sector, let them buy and endow what they buy. Housing units. Don't build them from scratch. The public sector can't build anything, but the private sector has already built it. Just buy it and endow it. Do you think that qualifies as infrastructure? Because we have to get at least some of these people off the street.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that point. I think what we need to do also is realize that a lot of the homelessness. I've been out there. I've done our counts in January that they do every year across the country, and had conversations with the homeless. And what we'll find is it's not just lacking a home. That tends to be kind of on the periphery. A lot of them are dealing with mental issues. A lot of them are dealing with drug abuse, substance abuse. And so it's making sure that they're getting that full set of care, case management, given opportunities to learn skill sets, given opportunities to actually be able to be employed. And it's not just kind of putting them up in a home, because what we find is when we put homeless that are suffering from other problems, when we put them in a house, that's not enough. They don't even want to stay there sometimes. They
No,
don't
that's
want to
why
be
I say you've got
confined.
to endow services. If you buy a hotel and you don't give it to the Union Rescue Mission or the Salvation Army to run, you are just going to replicate the problem. My problem is giving money to bureaucracy. I don't think they know
Yes.
how to deal with this problem.
I will agree with you. I will agree with you 100%, which is why, I'm a conservative. I think the private sector, more often than not, does so much better than the public sector. They're more efficient. They're much more effective. And yeah, you're right. I think that was the whole creation of the Community Development Block Grant Program, was to make sure that the cities are giving it, and we're giving it out to private companies that, you have a mission that you've got to complete. There's got to be obviously oversight in that, but I have found that the private sector is a lot more nimble as well.
Yeah, I hope that there's housing money, but I don't want to give it to the government. I want to give it to small, not-for-profits that can own and operate and serve the homeless community. Now, I want to talk about your committee on small business,
Yes.
because I get a lot of restaurant owners who tell me there's never been a time like this. People who've put their whole life into a restaurant or a small business, and they've been shuttered by the government. PPP saved a lot of these people once. They've saved it twice, but that money's going to run out pretty soon. I'm sure you've already heard from people in the restaurant business. What do they tell you?
We've been talking to people in the restaurant business and the small business sector for the last, year, specifically about some of the things that they've endured. And, when I was back in the district last week, I had a roundtable on transportation. We had stakeholders in transportation, but we also had a small business franchise roundtable. And it's the stories that you hear are terrible. I mean, these people have put all of their life savings. They've got family members. Entire families are working in these restaurants, and they've been shut down through no fault of their own. And they were very clear. They said, the PPP program saved us, but we don't want a handout. We're not looking for a check. We just want to get back to work. Let us open up. Let us continue, to feed economic development. We want to be successful. You have to let us open back up. And, access to capital is going to be very important for them in the future. But they were very clear. We are not looking just for a handout. We want to be, self-sustaining. We want to be able to grow our business. Help us do that and stop shuttering us. That was a very clear message.
Governor DeSantis made a very good argument last night against lockdowns. Now, that's a 50-state solution. There are going to be 50 different solutions, but there is only one Small Business Administration. Now, I have dealt with the PPP on behalf of a foundation of which I'm the president, and I know that it works for some and it doesn't work for others. How can you make it easy for people to get to PPP, Congresswoman?
I think, having as much communication as possible, making sure the forms are as clear as they possibly can be. I've been named ranking member of oversight for the subcommittee on small business, making sure that it's the people who are actually who actually need it are the ones who are getting it. That's going to be really important, that the system, that the process is not abused, and that we're giving, money where it doesn't need to go, because we have so many who are in need right now. But what we found in the first phase was that it was the smaller community, more personal banks that were actually getting more loans pushed through, because they were working through the night. They were filling out the forms by hand and on the phone with their clients, in the middle of the night, making sure that they got put in. So, while the PPP program has been phenomenal, there have been some issues with it. We need to make sure that the money's going where it needs to go.
You just hit a big deal. The small community banks are where I saw people get served. But you also mentioned you had a roundtable with franchisees. As I understand it, a lot of franchisees got screwed because the rules were written that they were not counted as a franchisee. I mean, they looked like it was McDonald's, not Joe Bag of Donuts, who owns a McDonald's, or Josephine Bag of Donuts, who owns a Hardee's. I mean, it became a nightmare for some people. Is that part of the clarification process?
It is. I think people who work in the bureaucracy may not know the difference. People, when you get out there and you actually talk to these people, you realize, they're getting the economies of scale by being a franchisee owner. You're getting some of the marketing, but, all the day-to-day running, the employees are yours. The risk that you take is yours, and they need to be treated like small businesses.
Now, I have asked all the freshman congresswomen, and I'm trying to ask freshman congresswomen on, how's it going? I mean, what's it like? Are you having fun?
I am. This is not the month I think that any of us could have imagined that we'd be having. I came up here to fight for infrastructure and transportation. I came here to fight for better health care. I came here to fight for lower taxes and more efficiency in government and less regulation. And we've been talking about, what kind of pronouns we're going to use. We've been focused again on impeachment, and I really figured after the election that would be over, that we could move on. It's been frustrating. Now that we actually are in committees, I'm hopeful that we're not going to be talking about committees in the middle of our transportation and infrastructure. But it has been frustrating. But what has been great is getting to know so many new and energetic representatives. This freshman class is phenomenal. We are very diverse. We come from different backgrounds. We have a lot of different opinions. We're from all across the country. But I'll tell you, we're very excited to be able to bring in a new breadth of energy, new ideas, and new ways of thinking.
Well, you have great leadership in McCarthy, Scalise, and Cheney. I've known those three for a long time, but I love talking to freshmen because it takes a while to figure out where the bathrooms are. And I hate the Hill. I get lost Have you figured out where everything is yet?
Oh, no, but I'm not shy about asking directions either. But no, I'm still learning my way around. Now, keep in mind, I was on the city council for 6 years. I was mayor for 6 years. I've worked as part of the administration for 2.5 years. So it's not my first rodeo up here, but there's a ton of nuances and things to learn. And trying to do that in a COVID environment is not easy either.
Well, I got to ask the last thing. Representative Beth Van Duyne is your Twitter handle. R-E-P, Beth, V-A-N, D-U-Y-N-E. This must be the least easily spelled last name of every new last name in the country. Am I right? Do people misspell this all the time?
Maliatakis has some issues too, but yes, people don't ever know how to say our names. It's the Dutch, I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to change my name, but yes, it is very difficult. It's not the first time I used to hate the first day of school. So,
well, Representative Beth Van Duyne, keep coming back. It's on Twitter at Rep Beth VANDUYNE. Thank you, Congresswoman. Great to have you. Don't go anywhere, America. Tom Cotton is coming.